Welcome to the Nightly Rant
with
your
hosts,
Mike.
and Torya.
This is the show where we examine society from a sarcastic point of view.
If you like insane conversations, this is definitely the show for you.
Let's get into today's topic. YPN people, I don't know about you, but I love helping out a friend. That's why I want to shout out my friend Brian Little and his podcast, Your Favorite Blockhead. This is the only show that manages to weave together peanuts and MMA into one heck of an amazing podcast. You can find Your Favorite Blockhead wherever your favorite podcasts reside and at yourfavoriteblockhead.com. Do me a huge favor and listen to Brian's show. You'll be entertained and you'll help out a friend. Now, as I said, let's get into today's topic.
All right. I've had it up to my ears. I've just had it up to my ears with people people. I've had it up to my ears with people. How about I just say it that way?
Only up to your ears?
Well, probably more than that, but I was trying to make it a little more child-friendly tonight.
Because I've had it up to like me standing on top of your shoulders up to my ears. Like a whole extra 6 feet.
Well, what's bothering you?
The world.
What about the world? I'm with you there.
Well, the same things that are
bothering you. The world's
bothering
a
you.
pretty encompassing thing, though. So what would we narrow it down to? I think I might say, I don't know, lying leaders.
I can't even, with the leaders in this country, lying about an economic crisis and therefore making it worse and making dumbasses believe there is no crisis, so they're not going to prepare themselves.
Yeah.
I can't.
Yeah, that's the problem is when one side is in office, then they do things that the other side says, well, see, they should have had transparency and they should have shown what they were up to and what they really thought, because they misled people who thought they thought this other thing, and they completely misled them because they weren't transparent. Then when the script is flipped, those people who are talking about wanting to be transparent are not transparent.
Is anyone transparent? Any leader in this country ever transparent? Ever? Even once in their life? No. 0% of the time.
Yeah, it's definitely a no. That is definitely a no. And it's kind of sad because I believe that most things in life, and that includes your career, your work, friendships, relationships, they're like microcosms of a bigger picture, right?
Right.
And that's why I think that how you treat somebody at, like, say, the earliest stages of life is kind of indicative of how you're probably going to treat people most of your life. People tend to like get set in their ways by the time they're like 20. And then after that, they don't change a whole hell of a lot.
I'm glad you clarified what you meant by early stages of life, because I was like, all toddlers are assholes, and not all people are assholes.
No.
But you said by 20,
yeah, like by
that makes more sense.
20-ish years old, they just start to become mouthy and, their way's the only way, and you got to listen to them. You have to. If you don't listen to them, you're at an ist. You're one of those. Either, race,
fascist,
add the ist,
racist,
add the ist,
sexist,
exactly, add the ist.
Bigotist.
Exactly.
Sorry, I had to add the ist because you specified it had to have an ist.
Yeah. How about bigotist?
Yeah.
Bigotist. That's an interesting word. But the point is, nobody's consistent. And, we had that whole rant a while back about the consistency party. And, I'd change it to be the consistency caucus, because then rather than it being a party, you can get independents who are willing to join you as part of a voting bloc. And
right.
That's how you wield greater power. It just makes sense. Make it you make it a why is that so funny to you? I don't understand why that's funny. I want to understand why it's funny, because you think it's funny. It must be funny because we're the same damn person. So why do you think it's
I'm
funny?
more laughing at how sad it is that something like this doesn't exist, where there's like, as you put it, a caucus of people that are super fucking consistent and reasonable making decisions. Like, why doesn't that exist? What?
Well,
it doesn't exist anywhere.
No, it doesn't. And that's why I say don't make it a party, because if you make it a party, then it's like, well, I got to switch parties to be that. But if you make it a caucus, they can just, oh, I'm a Democrat. I vote your way too. Oh, I'm a Republican. I vote your way too. Oh, I'm a this, I'm a that. And they have one thing in common. They're consistent.
That switching parties bullshit is such an American thing.
It is. It's what we know. I mean, you would have to drastically change the entire system to get rid of that kind of stuff. And I mean drastically change it.
I guess the United Nations is kind of a caucus. Kind of. Almost. If you take out all the bullshit and China.
Other than the fact that there's a crap ton of politics that goes on there, yeah, it kind of is.
They're effectively a caucus for the world.
That's the concept.
And I would argue that they're more efficient than most governments at accomplishing their goals.
Yeah, I would agree.
So that is a point in your favor of your caucus idea. I know the UN is not efficient and doesn't do a great job, but
wasn't the point of our conversation,
right.
So we wouldn't go there anyway. I mean, it's pretty obvious that what you're looking for is agreement, and you're looking for consistency. So what would happen, right? Maybe not a lot of people agree. Well, if not a lot of people agree, that caucus isn't going to have a lot of power. They just aren't. They're going to get outvoted by all the other caucuses. But if a lot of people begin to agree, and pretty soon you've got 10 million people, 100 million people. You're the biggest caucus in the entire world. They're going to vote for you.
Right.
And then you're going to win, and now you have power.
Right.
And that's really what it's about. It's
then you become the biggest, and then you get power, and then you become a corrupt piece of garbage caucus.
That's the problem.
And the world ends.
That's the problem. But I think that what people miss about having that style of government is that you're getting more equal representation, because you're getting people from all walks of life and styles and whatnot. But you're not only getting those kind of representation, but you're getting it in the proportion that the general public agrees with that at the given time. And you don't force them to jump through I'm a this, so I vote in this, and I'm a that, and I vote in that. No, they can switch allegiances based on where they feel that time.
That's what voting in Canada looks like.
I know.
I've never voted for the same, I'm making finger quotes,
party
twice.
Yeah.
And I've never registered with a party or any of that dumbass bullshit. I'm on still all their mailing lists. I follow all their Facebook pages, and I equally make fun of all of them.
Well, I saw in the informed delivery, I'm officially registered to vote in Nevada, so I'll be voting here in the midterms. So, and then I'll vote to say goodbye to Biden.
Hey, maybe I can
24.
be officially registered to vote by the time it's at a Biden time.
Yeah, exactly. One more vote.
You know what? Now that I've said that, they're going to disallow my citizenship because Biden's in power now and he knows I'm going to vote against him.
Yeah, shh, don't say that.
You know what? Something very interesting crossed my mind while you were babbling away, and now I
Okay.
can't remember what it is.
I was babbling? I thought I was ranting.
Oh, sorry. Well, you were You're kind of tame for a ranter tonight.
Yeah, I'm feeling kind of mellow.
You're not really angry.
Feeling kind of
Oh,
melancholy.
I remembered. Okay.
Okay.
Obama.
Healthcare.
Healthcare. What the hell?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pricey.
Well, I mean,
Expensive.
he convinced
Too many rules.
Americans, as a majority, that his plan made their healthcare cheaper. And it didn't.
And he convinced them without ever having to prove it.
But I would also like to ask, what the hell kind of place only allows you to enroll in healthcare for 1 month out of the year? I mean, they eliminated the penalties federally for not having health insurance. They're gone. They don't exist anymore.
Yeah, I did look that up.
California has them, but federally there are no penalties. So what's the point of having an enrollment period? Let people enroll when they need to enroll.
Yeah, and
It's just asinine.
what it ends up doing is it creates a racket of private companies that are out there offering their insurance on a private basis.
And it gives them every excuse in the book to do shitty things to people.
Yeah.
Like not cover any kind of pre-existing condition. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was listening to that list of questions about them asking you all of your medical history. And I was like, why is that any of your business?
Yeah. Well, I mean, answer me like why it's relevant that, I don't know, I can't think of a specific example. I had one earlier.
Felon.
Yeah, oh yeah. Why is it relevant whether I'm a felon or not? I mean, I'm getting medical insurance. How does that have anything to do with my health? I mean, perhaps they're trying to infer that a felon would then be an ongoing criminal, and so they would therefore possibly get shot. But wouldn't it just be easier to put a rider that says any crime you commit, if you get injured or killed during that, we don't owe you a thing?
Yeah, it kind of implies that, doesn't it?
And that's what they should have in there. That would protect them. Then you could still give the guy the insurance.
I don't understand why if you've had a felony you can't have health insurance.
Because what I'm saying to you is the only thing I can think of is that they're treating you as though you're still going to be a criminal and you're going to get into trouble and you're going to get hurt and then you're going to go to the hospital and they're going to come after the insurance company for the money.
Oh, I get it. So you're talking about the fact that insurance companies' main goal is to disqualify anybody they may have to pay even one single red cent out for at any given time. Got it.
That is their main goal.
Got it. Garbage.
Well, but that's what it does, though. What Obama's thing did is it gave the private insurance companies a lot of power.
Yeah.
And that's why the rates went way up, because what the public marketplace is going to do is charge the private rate minus a percentage. Just makes sense to schedule your fee that way.
Yeah.
So, but the private marketplace, they didn't stick at the like $400 or $500 level like they were before. They went, oh, we have all this power now. It's $900 a month. Then
For less coverage.
And then the public marketplace went, oh, and we'll take $200 off of that, and we'll give you the same kind of insurance for $700 a month. But still, it's $700 a month.
The more we look at health insurance in this bullshit health insurance garbage can that we live in, the more I miss my Canadian health coverage that had no qualms about anything you had done. And if you lived in Canada for 3 consecutive months and you were a permanent resident or a citizen, you're eligible for health coverage.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, I don't know. Just ridiculous. Absolutely asinine.
And we just don't have that here. And we don't have any capacity to make it happen because the insurance lobby is just too strong.
Lobbyists are the problem in every single situation.
Yep.
They shouldn't be a thing. But how do you stop them from being a thing?
Well,
you can't,
exactly.
because politicians are greedy motherfuckers who just want to pad their own pockets.
Correct. And I mean, I'm going to save that for another episode, but that reminds me of Nancy Pelosi.
You were supposed to be ranting today, and instead you got me all riled up about all the things.
Well, I was ranty, but in a calm, mellow, melancholy kind of way.
Is it because the situation just makes you overall melancholy instead of angry at this point? Like, are you just so defeated by the garbage?
It bothers me that you have the media finally figuring out that the president is lost his, he's got a few screws loose.
A few?
And I'm just being nice. There's a few screws loose.
Okay,
A
you be
few
nice.
could mean one. It could be 5,000.
I don't think any screws are tight. How about that?
Okay, well, it would still be a few. So they're complicit in hiding things that go on. They're agreeing that the definition of a recession is not 2 consecutive drops in GDP, even though they've had people on all along saying that very thing.
Right.
Once again, it's about consistency, something that just doesn't seem to exist with these lunatics. Simple as that.
Just the most ridiculous thing in the entire universe. Every time I have to deal with something that has anything to do with the government, local, state, whatever, federal, it just makes me unhappy.
You get kind of a feeling of doom.
This thing that, not me personally, because I've never voted in this country because it's illegal for me to do so. This thing that you and all the other citizens and illegal residents in some places that vote have elected to serve you is just bending you over and taking you forcefully from behind.
No kidding.
In every single way. And people are too apathetic to do anything about it.
But like, here's an example of how there's nothing scientific, for example, about their emergency response to things. There was talk about how they were going to have a mask mandate because the cases were getting disturbingly high. And you and I are like, well, okay, if it's so important, why are you waiting until the 29th when it's now the 14th? I mean, if it's so bad, why aren't you making it now? What's wrong? I mean, there's something fishy about that.
Other countries, per capita, are having similar case numbers to what's occurring in California. You have to look at the per capita numbers. And I get it. Anyway, other places are having the same per capita kind of numbers, and they're dropping regulations. Opening borders.
Well,
even the United States dropped the testing requirement to enter the country.
Well, but that's what I'm getting at. Then it's coming up to the 29th. It's one day before right now. We're on the 28th.
Right.
And they say, oh, we're not going to do the mask mandate. The cases are going down now. Well, how scientific was it that you didn't implement it right away if you thought it was so important? And that you ultimately decided not to implement it because, as anyone would have predicted, yes, the cases may have spiked, but they would also descend.
I feel like it's because it's an election year. And so they want to appease the people who want masks by saying, okay, we're going to have a mask mandate. Cases are going up. But they also don't want to piss off the people who don't want a mask mandate. So they, change the formula like they've done 1,000 times since this bullshit started.
And they make it look scientific.
And they make it look like the numbers are going down, even if they're probably staying exactly the same.
You know?
And then they appease the people who didn't want a mask mandate.
So, mask mandate.
Yeah. They appease the people, like I just said. They appease the people who don't want the mask mandate by not actually putting it in because they've changed the formula. So cases are going down. So now the people who wanted the mask mandate aren't mad that they didn't do it. And the people who never wanted the mask mandate aren't mad because they never did it.
And
election year.
For me, it reminds me of, like, formulas matter. And
right.
Both my last two, we got disturbing news about them because the timing of the last, period was off. And so the entire formula was off because one number was wrong. Makes sense, right?
You
because
need to give some context to that, I think. I know what you mean, but I don't think anybody who's listening.
Well, what happens is you
you
have to do this test, and
for his last two children,
and it's supposed to tell you some things about their genetics and if they have any problems, and it's kind of an early warning system, and it's required. And with the last two children, one of the variables in the formula is approximate date of the woman's period. And now, normally you could be off by people go, how is this person supposed to remember that? How is this supposed to remember? Well, you're not. But as long as you're within like a week, either way, you're good. Well, they were off by like 4 weeks, and it screwed up the formula, and it made it look like one of them had Down syndrome and the other one something called trisomy 13, both of which not a good thing. Trisomy 13, only like 5% survive, and of those, 95% die within a month. So, yikes. You know, like, it's not good news.
Well, and you have 2 perfectly healthy adult children at this point.
But yet we can take formulas that are supposedly there to protect people's health and
just
safety,
change them.
and just change the numbers so that we get a number we want.
The perfect example is in our business a year ago, almost, I think at this point, we were trying to figure out Instagram engagement. And you looked up on Google and you found one formula, and I looked up on Google and I found another formula, and somebody else looked up on Google and they found a different formula, all to calculate the same thing and the different variables you should use. And they all came out with slightly different numbers that were meant to represent your Instagram engagement. Well, what the heck are you supposed to do? Well, I know what we did. We picked one and we stuck with it so we could monitor the trends. But if we would have switched formulas every single month, how do you map a trend? You can't. So, state of California, figure your shit out.
Well, right. That's the thing. If you're jumping around, the trend you see means nothing.
Right. It's not even a trend. It's just random bullshit on a page.
It's like, psht, psht. You just take a spray gun and spray paint at the wall, whatever it hits. That's what goes next.
Unlabeled spray paint at that. So you don't know what color it's coming out.
You don't
either.
even know what color's coming out. Exactly. I mean, it's just, that's how they are. And they want you to believe it's scientific. And that's what gets me so pissed off. And it's why I said at the very beginning, and I'm going to tie it up nice right now.
Wrap it up in a bow, big guy.
People drive me nuts. How do people believe this stuff? I know of intelligent, smart, inquisitive people who believe some of this stuff. And you just go, how do you believe that? How do you believe that?
Right.
And if you believe that, there's no hope. Everyone's going to believe it, or a vast majority. It's just, ouch. And with that, it's why I can't stand most people.
That seems perfectly reasonable to me.
People drive me nuts.
Well, now that we're in complete agreement, it's time for bed. Good night, everyone.
Hasta la bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to the Nightly Rant.
If you enjoyed the show, please give us a 5-star rating on Apple Podcasts or Google Play.
If you didn't enjoy the show, please just ignore that previous request for a rating.
This has been a Yogi's Podcast Network production.